this is information you're not going to hear in the mainstream media. Very few actually will tell you the truth. Tonight's show, Joe, is Comply or Die, Night of the Long Knives for Law Enforcement, Crystal Knocked, Broken Glass for Americans.
And we do have both our guests, Greg Evensen and Steve Quayle, with us. I'm going to bring on Mr. Greg Evensen first. Can you hear us?
Thank you, sir. Good to be with you both, of course. I can't tell you what it means to be back with you and my dear brother Steve Quayle. And Doug, Joe, Greg, we are reaping as a nation now that which we have failed to challenge and to stand against the evil when it was coming in incrementally, and now it's flooding. As we go to the airwaves tonight, there are so many people who are having to reconcile and deal with feelings they've never known before in their lives. They've learned enough history, at least people of a certain age, to know that something's very, very wrong for those in the military and in law enforcement, because, again, Doug, this is something that people don't understand. Even in this country, the idea of an overthrow is to create a revolution in which you simply flood the system with concurrent problems that there are no solutions for, and people feel helpless, hopeless, fearful, and terrorized. And that's exactly what we're seeing. So tonight, as we stand in the gap, now tonight we're going to talk about what Greg and I are both getting independently from different sources, and because of the critical nature of timing on what is scheduled for Colorado as a test state in the coming next month, and I'm praying, Doug, that God has literally stopped in the last couple weeks a false flag of multiple nuclear detonations in America. You never have had, under George Bush, there were only 2 senior military officers fired. Under this current administration, that's up to 200. I happen to have been involved a number of years ago in the purported attempt to take out 29 nuclear cities with nuclear weapons. Doug, you and I spoke at 2 o'clock in the morning that night, and you were intimately and intricately involved, and you know that after all the verifications, we knew it took place. Just like now off South Carolina, there has been a seismic event. There is radiation. Ladies and gentlemen, we, Greg and I, have nothing to gain by telling you stories or lying or melodrama. And we have only one agenda, and that's God's agenda, to stand in the gap and to tell you the truth through a set of miraculous circumstances. But a certain man who was in Hawaii last week was in Colorado this week. He was picked up by a Christian, and God bless the man that picked him up, DHS agent. The DHS agent, and by the way, this man was a veteran walking 5 miles to the hospital, 5 miles with his 5-year-old. He's had his funds frozen, and he's literally had his money taken from him. The Lord made it available for me to help the guy and to get him out of, the Hawaiian Islands back home to Colorado. Now, Greg and I both got independent verification of what's coming, and I'm done after I share this, Greg. First of all, he stated, the DHS agent stated to my friend, the veteran, that within 3 to 4 weeks that the military will be taking over the law enforcement departments in Colorado, the sheriff's department and the police department. Now, those of you who may be in the sheriff and the police department don't expect to know anything at this point. Supposedly, they're going to be taken to military bases and taught training, given new communication equipment, and given their orders. He also told my friend, he said to my friend Jay, let's just use that, Jay is his name, he said, the people in this country will learn what it means to either live under the supernatural protection of God or under the total tyranny and oppression of the evil one. He said this, he said that in place of the police and sheriff's department, and you can say that, what right do they have? Well, Greg's told you years ago that the plan was to federalize all local and the state police department and bring them under the DHS. He said that the entire plan is to put this into play prior to Christmas. Now, I may not be able to count that high, but we only have about 29 days before that happens. Now, I believe that, and Greg will speak this, and Greg, I'm going to turn it right over to you, that when an operation is exposed, in order not to have fingerprints on the operation will be canceled, changed, transformed, or it will be reconfigured at a later date. He also said in Hawaii, on the Big Island, I think it would have been on Monday, that the kids were taken from the local schools and taken to a secret location. They would be returned to the parents, and I believe they have, or I would have heard differently. But the point being is all that you're hearing about the children being taken away from the parents is real. He also went on to say in Colorado there are FEMA camps are all being activated, and he said, isn't it interesting that in, I believe it's Walsenburg, Colorado, and in Trinidad, Colorado, not really big towns, there are 80 FEMA and DHS-style vehicles of law enforcement. Even, he said, even militarized snowcats with gun mounts on them. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is critical. The reason Colorado is going to be secured first is because Denver becomes the provisional capital of the United States when Washington, D.C. gets nuked. And make no bones about it, Washington, D.C. is scheduled to be nuked. And all of the big departments, whether it's CIA, DIA, NSA, everybody has got a secondary, if you will, which is now becoming their primary location in Denver, underground, in all the infamous tunnels. So this is why we had to get on the air. Now, I'm going to give it to you, Greg, and then, ladies and gentlemen, we urge you all to pray for the police and sheriff's department to figure out that they are pawns in the game to be slaughtered at the appropriate time if they don't play ball. Go ahead, Greg.
Thank you, Steve. Great way to open the dialogue tonight. Gentlemen, we need to go back several years, at least 5 years, and that's sufficient for now, at a time when federal money was being loosed greatly upon the states and local municipalities, counties, and so forth, where advanced training with weapons, communications, and various tactics employed by the federal government so that when the local agencies are nationalized, they will be in tune with the so-called battle tactics of the seamless law enforcement entity that will exist at that time. Now, if you understand that during this period, unprecedented amounts of training, urban warfare training, all kinds of airborne assault units, and various other aircraft involved, along with ground forces, to ensure that this could be done. Now, the thing that and it has been assured through the communities coast to coast, border to border, that this will be able to be done. Unfortunately, and this is where the last 2 or 3 weeks have become so critical, I've been hearing, fellas, from families across the country, law enforcement families especially, although I'm in direct contact on a weekly basis with military personnel who are assuring me that it's happening there as well. There is an uncanny, it is supernatural, I believe it is godly, that there is an awakening happening, especially in the families of the police officers, military people involved in this effort that is amassing itself as we speak. Orders have been cut, tactics have been finessed and fine-tuned, all logistics have been met for all contingencies, including and up to mass burials and equipment replacement and so forth. What the police officers of this nation must understand, and I think many of you out there tonight do, and if you're listening in and you're a senior officer with the police department, sheriff's officer, state police department, then I encourage you, in fact, I just beg you, I implore you, to look within your hearts at this moment, knowing what you know, knowing what you have been involved with in your training, the confidential memos that have come to you, the CDs that have been prepared for doomsday scenarios in the squad cars, and all the rest of it that we've reported on down through the months. Do you understand what's happening to you here? You are being nationalized in an effort to subdue the American people from being able to have control of the destiny of their own lives that the historical brotherhood, the Christian background of people in this country, honest, ethical, moral people, have been undermined by those in power so that they could be divided. They could be divided from their church, from their communities, from each other. The schools the school that Steve mentioned is only one of hundreds and hundreds of schools across the country that have gone through this same drill, where children have been issued backpacks. I got a report last week of this happening again in Ohio. The parents were not aware of this drill. That one parent became aware of it when the documentation of this backpack and what was in it made its way home, and the parents did some checking, of course. They were not aware of this. For what reason would children be separated from their families? Perhaps a hostage situation? I'm only suggesting this for a matter of intellectual fodder. Could it be that there is a plan underway that these children are secreted so that they can survive whatever is coming? I don't know the exact reasons for it, but I know that the teachers were separated from the students, which is unheard of in a situation where public school children go in and are under the auspices of trained and we hope, certified and licensed teachers to do the job that they're required to do by their states. You go on to the next level, and this just keeps going higher and higher. Gentlemen, I am convinced that the upper echelon of many of our police departments, whether they're small departments, mid-size or large, the sheriff's offices, up to and including the constitutionally elected sheriff, and of course your state police personnel, are under the understanding that if and when, and I say if only for the sake of the debate tonight, but when this occurs, that they have people they can count on nationwide, state to state, to execute the plan of control of the American people. Absolute, complete, total control. What's going to happen? And you've got praying families at home, gentlemen, that are absolutely interceding. They're on their knees right now. They've been on their knees. They're imploring the God of the heavens to move into the hearts of the men and women who are on duty in the military and law enforcement, to bring them to a point that they recognize the seriousness, the absolute cataclysm that's going to be created when this issue, whatever it is, comes from Washington down, whatever form it takes. The worldwide events that are coming, all of this is cascading across America. The dominoes are falling, and the people who are in the positions of ultimate authority are placed with this final thought: what do I do when it occurs, when it happens, when the command is given? What am I going to do? The local police departments will be the first ones that will take the heat of the recoil of the American people when they realize that they have been robbed, that they've been captured by this ongoing siege, America under siege, and they have nowhere to turn. And so their ultimate first reaction is going to be against those in local control. Now, the military knows this. The people at the top in federal law enforcement who are using this opportunity to bring all the local people under federal control so that we have a seamless U.S. military, U.S./military/police law enforcement effort. And when that happens, you see the first ones that are going to go in are going to be these gung-ho guys in the small communities that have got their latest military equipment, their issuance of the super armored Humvees and other military vehicles that they can take into battle. And once those have been defeated, and they will be because they can be, no matter the propaganda of the federal government, these resourceful Americans who are suddenly finding themselves being herded and pushed and corralled into what they have no idea what, but they're going to start striking back, and they will strike at the local people first. And there will be tremendous losses on both sides. So this is what we're looking at now. It's no more conjecture. This has been discussed. It's been planned. It's out there to take place when the command is given under whatever circumstance they deem is most justifiable from the nation's capital that this is underway.